Absolutely. Here's the full motivational speech for the title. 5 secrets every powerful man keeps from women. She'll never see you the same. Tone, stoic, masculine, sharp. Mike Johnson style. #stoic, #stoicism, #masculine. Frame, #powerfulman, #mental strength. They say if a man is quiet, he must be confused. Lost, weak, but a powerful man knows better. He knows that silence is his weapon, not his wound. He doesn't jump to respond. He doesn't rush to prove himself, because he understands one truth. Every word you speak is an energy investment. And not everyone deserves your energy. In a world addicted to noise, a man who chooses silence becomes impossible to ignore. He listens while others reveal themselves. He observes patterns, reactions, contradictions. While they talk themselves in circles, he builds clarity in stillness. People call it emotionless, but what they don't understand is that silence is not the absence of emotion. It's the mastery of it. He doesn't silence himself because he has nothing to say. He stays silent because what he has to say is too valuable to waste on the wrong ears. A man like that doesn't argue, he decides. He doesn't seek to be understood. He lets his actions speak in ways words never could. His presence speaks louder than shouting ever could. And that silence, it makes people uneasy, because they can't read him, can't control him, can't break him. He's not reacting, he's studying, he's not insecure, he's selective. Let others panic in the silence. Let them over-explain, overshare, overreact. But a powerful man, he stays still, because he knows a powerful man is not built around a woman. He is built around a mission. Long before she entered his world, he had a vision, a fire in his chest, a direction in his soul. And while he may love her deeply, he will never let that love detour him from what he was born to build. Because he knows, purpose is not optional, it's not a hobby, it's the very reason he wakes up every day and breathes with intention. She can add to the journey, but she cannot become the journey. He doesn't ask her to follow. He just moves forward with such clarity that the right woman either aligns or gets left behind. And he's okay with that, because he's not here to chase comfort. He's not here to build his life around someone's moods, doubts, or insecurities. He's here to build something real, something that lasts long after the excitement fades and the attention disappears. While most men lose themselves trying to impress, he stays rooted in his mission. He's not molding himself into what she wants. He's becoming who he was meant to be, with or without her applause, and that kind of focus, it's rare. It's intimidating, and it's magnetic, because deep down she doesn't want to lead him. She wants to trust that he knows where he's going, even if that path doesn't revolve around her. He doesn't explain it, he just lives it. He knows that love without purpose is a distraction, and purpose without love. That's a man who will still thrive. So while others pause their progress for temporary pleasure, he stays in motion. He sacrifices now for a kingdom later. And when she asks, "Do you even care about me?" he looks her in the eye, not with coldness, but with clarity, and says, "There's a difference between being numb and being in control." A powerful man knows that difference intimately. He doesn't feel less. He feels everything deeper than most. But he doesn't wear those emotions on his sleeve for the world to interpret, twist, or exploit. He doesn't cry for attention. He doesn't vent to feel significant, because he understands something most never will. Not everyone is safe with your vulnerability, so he protects it. His strength isn't in suppressing his feelings. It's in knowing when and where to express them, and with whom. He's not afraid of emotion. He's afraid of misplacing it. That's why he speaks with control, not chaos. moves with balance, not breakdown, because a man who bleeds for the wrong people eventually runs out of emotional oxygen. They call him cold. They say he's distant. But what they fail to realize is that he's been through fires that taught him to build walls, not because he wants to be alone, but because he learned the hard way. People admire your strength, but rarely know how to hold your scars, so he heals in silence. He processes alone. He journals, lifts, prays, breathes, grows not for show, but for survival. And when the moment comes for him to speak from his heart, he chooses his words like he chooses his circle, carefully, intentionally, rarely. He doesn't fear being emotional. He fears being seen as emotional by the wrong person, because once a man is labeled unstable, the world stops listening and starts judging. So instead, he builds his emotional fortress brick by brick, not to shut the world out, but to make sure that when he opens the door, it's on his terms. Because at the end of the day, he knows. A powerful man doesn't walk into a room trying to dominate. He doesn't need to be the loudest, the most visible, or the most praised, because he understands real power isn't something you perform, it's something you carry. He doesn't show his hand. He doesn't need to prove how smart, strong, or successful he is. Why? Because he knows that once the world sees the full extent of your power, it starts calculating how to use it, manipulate it, or destroy it. So he moves with intention. He gives glimpses, not the whole picture. He reveals just enough to earn respect, never enough to give away leverage. He's not hiding, he's protecting, because there's a certain danger in being fully understood. When people know your capacity, they know your limits. When they know your methods, they learn how to disarm them. So he lets people underestimate him. He allows them to think he's passive, simple, maybe even average. And then, when the moment demands it, when pressure tightens and all eyes are looking for leadership, that's when he strikes with clarity, precision, force. He doesn't threaten, he delivers. He doesn't explain, he executes. Power isn't about being constantly visible. It's about knowing when to be unmistakable. The world is full of men who show everything too soon, their ambitions, their emotions, their strategies, their wounds. But a truly powerful man, he plays a different game, a quieter game, a longer game. He builds his mind in silence, his body in solitude, his moves in the shadows. And when the world thinks he's stagnant, he's already 10 steps ahead. Because he knows, the loudest one in the room is usually the weakest, and the man who appears calm, detached, unbothered, he's the one with something dangerous inside him, something disciplined, something precise, something most will never see until it's far too late. And still, he reveals only what's necessary, because he understands better than most. A powerful man isn't always the one talking. In fact, the most dangerous man in the room is the one who's listening, because he knows. You learn more in silence than you ever will by speaking. While others rush to interrupt, to explain, to impress, he leans back. He watches. He pays attention to what's not being said. The tone, the energy, the body language, the inconsistencies between words and actions. He reads people like books, not by what they show on the cover, but by what bleeds through the lines they try to hide. He doesn't need to announce his presence. He doesn't need to dominate the conversation, because presence isn't volume, it's awareness. He studies the small moments, how someone treats a waiter, what they do when no one's watching, whether their eyes match their smile. And when he speaks, he does so with precision, not to fill space, not to prove he exists, but to deliver impact with economy. Because every word he speaks is intentional, measured, weighted. He doesn't waste language trying to be understood by everyone. He knows that those truly meant for him will feel his presence long before he opens his mouth. He also understands, the more you speak, the more you reveal. Your fears, your insecurities, your strategy, your limits. So he guards his words like a king guards his gold. Not because he's afraid to speak, but because he knows the value of silence. He lets others talk. Let them ramble. Let them exaggerate, because the more they talk, the more they expose themselves, and while they do, he's already ahead, forming a picture they don't even know they're painting. He is not passive, he's calculating, not emotionless, just composed. Because a man who can control his tongue, who can resist the need to be constantly heard, is a man who can't be easily read, or easily played. He keeps the world guessing, and in doing so, he keeps the upper hand. Because in a world obsessed with expression, the man who observes quietly, patiently, powerfully, a powerful man doesn't stay where he's not respected. He doesn't cling to situations that drain him. He doesn't fight to prove his worth in spaces that refuse to recognize it. Because he understands one of the hardest truths a man must learn: not everything lost is a loss. He doesn't threaten to walk away. He doesn't make scenes. He simply recognizes when his time, his energy, and his peace are no longer valued. And he moves. Not in anger, but in clarity, because a man rooted in self-respect doesn't beg for love. He doesn't chase what's walking away. He doesn't force himself into places where his presence is treated like an option. He knows that silence can say more than shouting ever could, and walking away can teach a louder lesson than 1,000 explanations. He's not heartless, he's wise. He's felt what it's like to stay too long, to give too much, to try too hard, and he's learned. He's learned that a man who stays after he's been disrespected starts shrinking. His dignity erodes, his edge dulls, his fire dims, but when he walks, something powerful happens. He reclaims his time. His energy resets. His standards return to full strength, and often, when he finally leaves, that's when she sees him for the first time. Not because he changed, but because distance stripped away her distractions. The man she once overlooked now becomes unforgettable. But by then, it's not about whether she sees him. It's about whether he even looks back, because he's not walking away to get attention. He's walking away to protect his peace, his focus, his future. He's not emotionally unavailable. He's selectively available. He gives access based on alignment, not emotion. And while others see walking away as weakness, he knows it's the final move of a man who knows his value, his limits, and his non-negotiables. Because in the end, he understands better than most